Welcome to Ethiopia Today. We will cover the following topic in our today's presentation. Our reflection on the report by the BBC on December 15, 2021 on how Prime Minister Abiy led fight back against rebel advance. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed evoked memories of the country's kings and emperors by going to the front lines to lead a dramatic fight back against Tigray rebels who had threatened to overthrow him, says the BBC. In extraordinary scenes for a man who was declared the 100th winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2019, Abiy was videoed and photographed in military fatigues, walking through bushy and mountainous terrain, scanning the horizon with the binoculars and addressing soldiers under a clump of trees, the report continues. Those who want to be among the Ethiopian children, who will be hailed by history, rise up for your country today. Let's meet at the front, Abiy said. Kjetil Tronvoll, a professor in conflict studies at the Oslo New University College in Norway, told the BBC that there was no doubt that Abiy's decision helped turn the tide against the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF). Though the photos suggest that he was close to the front lines and not on the actual battlefield fighting, his decision paid off, he continued. It boosted the morale of his generals, led to a surge in Ethiopian nationalism, saw national heroes like Haile Gebrselassie come out in support of the war effort, and thousands of people lined up to join the army and the Amhara ethnic group's militias. The setbacks the TPLF faced were huge, according to Professor Tronvoll. Its fighters had been around Dabre Birhan town, about 130 kilometers or 80 miles from the capital Addis Ababa, before being forced to go back about 400 kilometers to Waldia. This means the rebels lost key towns on the A2 highway that links their stronghold of Tigray to the federal government's seat of power, he added. Professor Tronvoll said that while Mr. Abiy rallied his troops on the ground, drones reportedly obtained from China, Turkey and Iran played a far greater role in forcing the TPLF to retreat. China's Wing Long 2 allegedly proved to be the drone with the highest military capacity to take out tanks, heavy artillery and to drop bombs against foot soldiers in open terrain. At the same time, the government resisted US and European Union pressure to negotiate a ceasefire, and portrayed Western powers as TPLF allies, a view also expressed by Mr. Gebrselassie, an Ethiopian running legend, he continued. We have seen how Iraq, Syria, Yemen and Libya have been destroyed or disintegrated. But Ethiopia is a country with more than 120 million people. So any attempt to destabilize this country could backfire on them, Haile told state media. I know our African brothers and sisters are supporting us and we have been fighting colonialism together for centuries, Gebrselassie added. Professor Tronvoll said Dr. Abiy had set the tone for such rhetoric to win the support of African governments, as well as other countries that were rivals of the West. At the start of the war, Abiy called the TPLF a junta against whom he was waging a law enforcement operation. But he then embraced the Pan-African narrative by calling the TPLF a proxy for imperialist forces, and he was fighting for Ethiopia's glory like the emperors of the past, Tronvoll added. We got point here to raise for Professor Tronvoll. Yes, Abiy was right to call the TPLF a junta who ran unlawful regional election and assumed itself as the winner and tirelessly worked to undermine the government of Abiy and finally launched attacks on Northern Command and thousands of innocent people. As an expert of conflict resolution, what would be your advice for Prime Minister Abiy under this condition? Can you, Professor, tell us what would be your advice if such attacks happen to be in the US or any other developed nations? Would it be the same advice or different? We assume that you would come up with similar answer or conclusion. The other point, you are critical about Abiy, as if he has changed his initial tone of the law enforcement against TPLF. It's not a question of changing a tone. The matter is more clearer than ever before. TPLF is the Trojan horse for geopolitical players, particularly the US. The Abiy's embracing of the Pan-Africanism spirit is a timely and a true narrative, as the terrorist TPLF is playing a proxy role for imperialist forces. Hope our brief justifications are easy to comprehend. Professor Tronvoll continued his interview on the BBC. In November, Abiy drew parallels between the TPLF's attempt to overthrow his government to the Italian invaders who were defeated in the famous Battle of Adwa in 1896 by the army of Emperor Menelik II, the founder of modern-day Ethiopia, who came from the Amhara ethnic group. My fellow Ethiopians here and in the diaspora, your role in telling the world the truth is commendable, Abiy said. In unity, we can overcome the existential threat this ancient nation is confronted with by forces far and near. As children of Adwa, we will carry Ethiopia resiliently onwards, Abiy tweeted. What is wrong with drawing comparison between the Battle of Adwa in the 19th century and Ethiopia's current battle, Professor Tronvol? Both fights are comparable, similar to that of twins when you take all our earlier justifications into account. The Battle of Adwa was the fight against colonialist powers, while the current battle the country is facing is against neo-colonialist powers. The BBC's report continued, the TPLF was a guerrilla movement which gained power in Ethiopia in 1991. It dominated the government until 2018, when Abiy took office following huge demonstrations against its repressive rule. It then retreated to its stronghold of Tigray, from where it launched a rebellion last year following a massive fallout with Abiy over his reforms. UK-based Horn of Africa analyst Abdurrahman Syed said that Abiy earned the respect of many Ethiopians by going to the front lines to spearhead the resistance, as his popularity had been faltering as the rebels advanced. By abandoning his official residence and joining his army, Abiy sent the message that he was prepared to die for Ethiopia if necessary. He is quite obsessed with the history of Ethiopia's kings, and he once told his audience that his mother predicted he will rise to become the seventh king. The kings used to lead their armies into battle, and he has done something similar, Abdurrahman added. Professor Tronvol said that Abiy's actions were unprecedented for a Nobel Peace Laureate, an honor bestowed on him in 2019 for ending hostilities with Eritrea and introducing political reforms in Ethiopia after decades of state repression. Barack Obama won the prize after he became US president and waged a drone war in Afghanistan. But he sat in the war room of the White House. Abiy is the first one to go close to the front lines, he said. Abiy initially went in late November to the Eastern Front, where special forces and militias from Ethiopia's Afar region had already inflicted heavy losses on the TPLF. The Afars are the next-door neighbors of the Tigrayans. Traditionally they are considered to be warriors. Almost every Afar man would have a gun from the age of 15. They mounted a strong resistance against the TPLF, and for the first time Afar women took part in fighting, said Mr. Abdurrahman. It showed the depth of anger towards the TPLF because of the atrocities its fighters had committed in Afar when they first tried to break out of Tigray about 6 months ago. Mr. Abdurrahman regards this as a turning point in the war, as it thwarted the TPLF's attempts to reach the border with Djibouti. Ethiopia is landlocked, and the port in Djibouti is its economic lifeline. If the TPLF took control of the road leading to the border, Ethiopia's economy would have been brought to its knees, no goods would have reached Addis Ababa, and the chances of the capital falling to the Tigrayans would have been greater. For your information, Mr. Abdurrahman, Ethiopia has alternative ports, including the recently repaired and operational Port Berbera, if that was the case. You know, TPLF has been loudly speaking more than their actions. Their major aim by doing so is to gain a negotiation power with democratically elected government of Ethiopia. They got all wrong. The BBC report continued. Abiy returned from the front lines after about 2 weeks only for his office to announce this week that he has gone back to lead the military in capturing more territory in the Amhara region. For its part, the TPLF said it had retaken the region's historic church town of Lalibela. This news is actually not true, as Lalibela is under the control of the National Defense Force. The report continued. The Ethiopian leader may have managed to hold on to power, but he has tarnished his global image, according to Professor Tronvol. The ultimate objective of a Nobel Peace Laureate should be peace, but Abiy has repeatedly rejected calls for a ceasefire, and his troops have committed widespread atrocities. Let us pause here a little bit. We don't agree with the views of Professor Tronvol in this regard. Firstly, Prime Minister Abiy has never rejected ceasefire calls. Actually, he was the one who declared ceasefire at first place. The government desperately wanted to avoid the war by any means, as it takes away human lives, displaces people, and destroys property and infrastructure. As you may be aware of that, the federal government declared a unilateral ceasefire and pulled out its army from Tigray to give peace a chance early July 2021. If you are unaware of all negotiation endeavors by the government of Ethiopia, please we kindly ask you to refer back to this specific matter as it helps you avoid misjudgment. If you are unaware, let's give you a brief here. No Western government recognized the goodwill of the Ethiopian government, and some countries even considered the ceasefire to indicate a TPLF military victory and started counting down the days Addis Ababa would fall. Can you see the truth, Professor Tronvoll? Secondly, you highlighted that the ultimate objective of a Nobel Peace Laureate should be peace. True. But don't you think Abiy's actions of protecting his people and his country from terrorist attacks as peace? Professor Tronvoll, don't you think this is one of the primary responsibilities of a leader of any nation? Many do not doubt the Norwegian Nobel Institute did not award Prime Minister Abiy the Peace Prize in 2019 to encourage him to act passively if an insurrection were to occur. You said that President Obama didn't go for fight, unlike Abiy. The difference is simple. Prime Minister Abiy is a trained and experienced military man, and also that's why he has become the Commander-in-Chief of the Ethiopian National Defense Force. We are not quite sure whether President Obama has such military trainings. But it doesn't matter as long as the goal of both intentions are fighting and winning the terrorist. Obama sat in the war room of the White House and must have ordered his generals to take actions of his government's interests. They took successful measures accordingly, and he was a Nobel laureate for peace. And Obama received praise from the media for fighting off terrorists. Do you think the global image of the Prime Minister of a poor country tarnished because of his fight against the similarly designated terrorist group to keep his country unified? We hope our message is clear for Professor Tronvoll. Let's go back and add few more points on the BBC's report of Mr. Abdurrahman's views. In contrary to Professor Tronvoll, Mr. Abdurrahman said that Abiy had no choice but to fight, as the TPLF had been determined to regain power through force. This is a black and white truth, Mr. Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman, you said that we don't know for how long this war will carry on and how it will end, but Abiy has shown that he is no pushover. You are right, Mr. Abdurrahman, but we assure you that the fight won't be lasting long, as the terrorist TPLF has been disintegrated and also its external sponsors are losing hope on its capacity to revive from its military inflict by Ethiopian National Defense Force. Thanks so much, our viewers. Don't forget to like and share. And also subscribe to our channel if this is your first time. Let's do our part in disseminating the messages to many people as much as possible. And by doing so, you are fighting for Ethiopia and also inspiring us to continue producing these and similar news. God bless Ethiopia and its people. Many thanks.